there's some curiosity as to what kind of gear we carry. So in this episode, we're going to talk about the big three. And the big three would be the backpack, the tent, and the sleep system. What have you got going back there?
So I'm carrying the Zpacks Arc Blast, and it's about a 50-liter pack, give or take.
Yeah.
And it's very light, and I carry a chest pouch with it. Careful, these are not entirely waterproof, maybe not even water resistant. And the whole rig weighs out at a little over 28 pounds with it fully loaded. Yeah.
I am also carrying the Arc Blast, and it will hold all my winter gear. This was an evolution for me. I started out with the Arc Blast, and the fit is not quite right, but I've made some modifications. I then tried the Arc Scout, but I am a little too tall for the Arc Scout to work well for me. I used the Arc Scout on the Camino de Santiago, and I had shoulder pain on a pretty constant basis after about 5 days, which is probably something to do with the fit. Today am carrying 27.6 pounds, and that is more than I plan to carry on the AT. But I figure to go up a little bit in weight and train with it and get sort of comfortable with it, and then drop back down to like 22, that will make me extremely happy.
And probably really fast, so I'll be worn out.
So this was not your first pack?
No, I started with the Osprey series of packs, and I started with the Atmos, which is a really comfortable padded big pack if you're a weekend backpacker or a small section hiker. It's perfectly fine, lots and lots of space, but it was a little too heavy. It weighed over 4 pounds empty. So I switched over to the Exos, which at the time was their lightest weight pack, and that was about 2.5 pounds empty. Also very comfortable, padded. I never had a problem with that pack at all. But when we started thinking about the Camino, I decided I would check out the Arc Blast, and it's been a pretty comfortable pack.
And that was because you wanted it to fit in an overhead bin.
Right. None of the Osprey products will actually fit in an overhead bin, so you end up having to buy a shipping bag for them so you can check them. And we didn't want to check our bags, so I went ahead and tried this pack, and I really liked it on the Camino, so I'm going to give it a whirl. I still have the Exos I could fall back if I want to, but I doubt I will.
No, I did the right thing. I went to REI and I tried 2 different Osprey packs. I tried a Deuter pack, I tried a Gregory pack, all fit for me properly by the REI staff. And I had them loaded up with 20 pounds, and I walked around the store for an hour, and we did that about 3 different times. Mm-hmm. So I really compared and I really shopped, but ultimately they all felt horrible. I figured as long as it's going to feel horrible, I might as well shave down to 1.5 pounds, and that's all this pack weighs, is 1.5 pounds.
Yeah, it's a very convenient pack.
So as long as it's going to be uncomfortable, I'd rather have it be lighter.
Right. So what about shelters?
Well, we found a shelter we really loved right off the bat, and it's because we'd done a lot of reading and a lot of research, and we're not new to camping, so setting up a non-freestanding tent wasn't that big a deal for us. We went with the Zpacks Triplex, and we loved it. We used it for 2 years of section hiking, and then after 2 years we started realizing that there were two issues with it. Both had to do with the same thing. We got the spruce color, I think it was. Mm-hmm. It's and it's very, very sheer.
It's the lightest Dyneema fabric they make tents out of.
Right, and so the selling point is it gives you a really intimate experience with nature, but it also gives you an intimate experience with your fellow hikers. And I just wanted a little more privacy, and also one night we were camped out, and I was sound asleep when suddenly there was this illumination inside the tent that woke me from a sound sleep. I thought for a minute maybe there was a truck driving into our campsite. Turned out it was the moon. Full moon had just come up above the ridge line and hit the tent, and it was so bright in the tent I had to wear my buff over my eyes the rest of the night. So for those 2 reasons, we upgraded to the Zpacks Triplex in the camo colored, which is a much darker tent.
It's a little heavier, but not much. And right now it's riding outside my pack because with everything else in the pack, it's completely full and the tent won't fit. But it comes in its own waterproof pouch. And so rather than put a wet, snowy, icky tent into my pack every morning, I've just decided to carry it outside the pack, at least for the winter months.
Are you going to W cord it to the pack?
Yeah, I'm gonna get a small lightweight aluminum carabiner and just clip it to one of the compression straps on the pack, just in case it comes loose. I doubt it will.
Yeah, but we know anything on the outside of the pack can
come loose,
can
so
be lost.
Yeah, so but it's very comfortable. It's wide enough that we can sleep with all of our gear down the middle and our packs all folded flat underneath our feet, so nothing is touching the walls of the tent, so we don't risk pushing the bathtub down and get water in the tent. That'll be an issue when we have snow on the tent surface itself, so we have to be careful about that. But it's plenty big to manage all of that.
Yeah, and it is a single wall tent, which means we'll have to deal with condensation. But we have learned how to just ventilate the tent enough to really mitigate most of that. In a heavy rainstorm, we get mist inside the tent. That's
price of doing business.
Yeah, I think even people with double wall tents sometimes get a little mist in their tent. But we'll just dry it out with our buffs. It'll be fine. So the third piece of the big three is the sleep system. And so the sleep system for us is a sleeping bag, or in our case a quilt, an air mattress, and a pillow, and a liner. So we started out, we just went ahead and bought the Enlightened Equipment Revelation 20-degree bag. We've been perfectly happy with that. It's a quilt. We've been perfectly happy with that quilt now for 3 years. But out of respect for winter weather in the Smokies, the high elevations that we're gonna cross through, we decided to go ahead and upgrade to a 0-degree Enlightened Equipment Revelation quilt. And the only problem is the volume of that sucker is ridiculous.
They're huge. They're extra wide, so in a pinch we can actually double them up, and that will be helpful if we get a really, really cold night. But the loft on them is pretty thick, and we have to put them in a compression sack to actually get them compressed down enough that we can fit them into the pack with. But it's part of safety on the trail to make sure that you can deal with the worst weather you might hit. So until probably the first part of April.
Well, I'd say Mother's Day we'll probably swap out back to our 20-degree bags, and that will save us about a pound, which will be nice. It was tough to find the perfect sleeping mat. I think we found it though, but we found it by trying about 8 other mats. And thank goodness for REI's return policy, because most of those mats went right back after one use. The first one we tried was by Nemo, and it was just too heavy. It was very comfortable though, and it was fairly quiet, which I liked. Then we tried 3 different Big Agnes on one trip. We just kept swapping out. We had a little support on that trip, so we could do that. All of them were super comfortable, easy to inflate, really nice, except the night when it got down to 30 degrees, a couple nights. It did not protect us from the cold. So these did not have enough insulation. Even though they were rated at 15 degrees, they did not protect us from the cold. And we woke up cold in the night because the heat from our bodies was just being soaked into the ground.
Yeah. So
then I've tried the Z-Rest, which was nice. I'm lazy and it suits me. But when we slept in a shelter one night, it wasn't cushioned enough to protect in the shelter. Then we've also tried a couple of different climate sleeping mats, and I think in the summertime I'll go back to one of those climate mats. Finally, we decided to go ahead and bite the bullet and buy the most expensive thermal mat we could find, and that was the Thermarest X Therm. Full-sized, big, long, wide Thermarest, and it has been a dream bed.
Yeah, body doesn't touch the ground. It's got a good R value. It keeps the heat in. And then when we combine that with our sleep liners, we actually get some pretty good protection against the cold.
It's a little crinkly, but you know, hopefully that'll work out over time.
It wakes up the bears. It's okay.
So we've used that for about a year of section hikes, and we've been really happy with it.
Yeah.
A little tougher to inflate than the Big Agnes, I'm afraid to say, but we get it done. So the next piece is the liner. Using
I'm a Summit Reactor liner.
Yeah.
It's good for an extra 25 degrees.
Allegedly.
Which is probably a little bit of overkill, but it's easy to get into. It's warm, and it'll be my liner probably until we shift out of winter gear.
Yeah. I'm a warm sleeper, and so I'm still debating. I also had the Summit Reactor, and that was in my pack until a few days ago, and then I decided maybe to switch to my old cotton silk liner. It's a travel liner. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I am a warm sleeper. The 0 degree bag will probably be overkill for me. So I think just the fabric of the cotton silk liner would be good for me. The reason why you want a liner is not necessarily for the added warmth, but so that you can wash the liner and keep your bag clean. And a clean bag is a warm bag. So we will be regularly throwing our liners into the wash.
Yeah.
And that way our filthy, salty, stinky bodies don't trash the quilts.
Because we will sweat a lot on the trail.
Yeah. Now, as a side sleeper, I need a lot of support between my shoulder and my head, so I need a pillow. I love a pillow, and I love a good pillow. Right now, I'm going to experiment with the Goose Feet Down pillow, and it has a little pocket in the back for stuffing extra clothes. The theory about using a stuff sack and your extra clothes as a pillow falls apart for us because we don't have extra clothes.
Right.
We're not taking
very
anything
little extra.
On a cold night, we're going to be wearing most of what we have.
Yeah.
So this idea that you're going to stuff your extra clothes in your pillow to make a pillow, that's silly. Whether I take my inflatable pillow or not is debatable. I think the down pillow is going to be enough for me.
So I think I'm taking both. I have a Summit inflatable pillow with a cotton pillowcase that we bought at Walmart.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to try the Goose Feet as well. And that'll be plenty of pillow.
Yeah, the Goose Feet is like 3 ounces, and I think for a good night's sleep, 3 ounces is certainly a weight penalty I'm willing to accept.
And it compresses down to something between a golf ball and a baseball, so
it's really
pretty small.
Yeah, really small.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to trying that.
Yeah.
The sleep system has been one of the toughest parts of this whole equation.
Too many variables. I mean, there's so much stuff. It's, how close do you want to be to the ground? How warm do you want to be? Liners, quilts, pillows, but in the end, it guarantees you comfort when you're sleeping.
It is the heaviest part of my system too. Mm-hmm. Between the mat, the sleeping quilt, and the extra little bits to make it comfortable. And my problem is I don't even sleep well in a cushy bed at night. So sleep has always been something I've had trouble with, and I anticipate having trouble on the trail. People say, "Oh, once you've hiked all that mileage." No, I've been hiking 8 and 10 miles a day, and I still don't sleep well. So that's just the way it goes. And then you get out there and you start hearing those noises. Is that a squirrel or a raccoon? Is that a raccoon or a bear? What is that noise?
Moose.
Thanks for watching this. I hope it's helpful to somebody out there. Now you know how we roll. So let's hit the trail.
All right, let's do it.